All praise to the Most High. Shalom, y'all. Brother Nashan, New Wine Congregation of Israel. All right, this is Law School. We in chapter 25. Before I get started, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, so let's get started. All praises to the Most High. Let's go to Genesis chapter 25. Now, it's one of the more popular chapters in Israel. Most Israel knows about Genesis chapter 25 because this is where you read about the birth of Jacob and Esau. All right, so that's in here, but there's some other things in here as well. All right, so Genesis chapter 25. Prior to this, in chapter 24, we had the marriage of Isaac and Rebekah. All right, Isaac got his wife Rebekah. They got married. So that's what happened in chapter 24. All right, here we're gonna see the death of Abraham. All right, and the birth of Jacob and Esau. All right, so let's start at verse 1. It says, Genesis chapter 25 and verse 1. It says, then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. So this is Abraham's third wife. All right. Sarah passed away and he got another wife. It says, and she bare him Zimran and Jokshan and Medan and Midian and Ishbak and Shua, and Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim and Lechem and Leumim, and the sons of Median, Ephah and Epher, and Hanak, and Abida, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. So Abraham had a lot of sons. He had a lot of kids, right? It says, and Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. Now, why did he give all that he had unto Isaac? Let's go to Genesis chapter 18. All right, Genesis chapter 18 and verse 19. It says, and God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. All right, it says, and as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac. All right, Shalom, King. So he said, look, I'm gonna make sure that Ishmael is blessed. He gonna have a plenteous seed, but my covenant is gonna be with Isaac. All right, that pissed a lot of people off that the covenant was with Isaac. Right? Let's go to the book of. We could see this through history, right? Let's see what Ishmael did through a little bit of history, real quick. Let's go to the book of Ezra. All right, Ezra. Matter of fact, let's go to Nehemiah. Go to Nehemiah. Let's look at some of the things that the heathen, in particular, Ishmael, did to us. All right, so let's go to Nehemiah chapter 2, and let's read. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 7. It says, moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king. Now, this is Nehemiah talking to the king of Persia. All right, I want to say this is Darius. Forgive me if I'm mistaken. All right, it says, moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah. So Nehemiah is saying, hey, make sure, give me provision so that if I get stopped by anybody on the way to Jerusalem, I'm straight. They know that you gave me permission to come over here to rebuild the wall, right? It says, and a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace, which appertain to the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me according the good hand of thy God upon me. So the king made provision for Nehemiah to get the things that he needed. It says, then I came to the governors beyond the river, and gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me, right? It says, when Sambalot the Horonite and Tobiah the servant of the Ammonite heard of it, it grieved them exceedingly that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the children of Israel. So these are Ammonites, and these are Ammonite people that's mad at us. They was mad at us too, right? Let me get this one. That ain't the one I was looking for, but that still support the point that our well-being grieve the enemies always, right? Let's go to Nehemiah 5 and verse 9. It says, also I said, it is not good that ye do. Ought ye not to walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathens, our enemies? So the heathens are our enemies, right? Let's keep going. Nehemiah 6 and verse 1. All right, now this is one I was looking for, dealing with the Ishmaelites. It says, now it came to pass when Sambalot and Tobiah and Geshem the Arabian and the rest of our enemies heard that I had builded the wall, and that there was no breach left therein, though at the time I had not set up the doors upon the gates, that Sambalot and Geshem sent unto me, saying, come, let us meet together in some one of the villages in the plain of Ono. But they thought to do me mischief. Right? So these men, this Arabian, this Ishmaelite, didn't like the Israelites, right? Let's jump over to verse 10. Let's see what the mischief that he thought to do. Right? It says, afterward I came to the house of Shemaiah, the son of Deliah, the son of Mehetabel, who was shut up, and he said, let us meet together in the house of God within the temple, and let us shut the doors of the temple, for they will come to slay thee. So this brother trying to scare Nehemiah, right? It says, for they will shut the doors of the temple and slay thee. Yea, in the night will they come to slay thee. And I said, should such a man as I flee? And who is there that, being as I am, would go into the temple to save his life? I will not go in. So Nehemiah wasn't scared. He wasn't a scary brother, right? It says, and lo, I perceived that God had not sent him, but that he pronounced his prophecy against me. For Tobiah and Sambalot had hired him. So they hired this man to try to put fear into brother Nehemiah's heart, and it wouldn't work. He says, verse 13, therefore was he hired that I should be afraid and do so and sin. So it's a sin to be fearful, brothers, right? It says, and that they might have matter for an evil report, that they might reproach me, right? That they could speak bad against the prophet of the Lord. So because of this covenant that was established with Isaac all throughout history, right? Let's go to the book of Joel. All throughout history, the nations have been mad at us, right? Matter of fact, before we go to Joel, let's go to Psalms 83. The nations have been pissed off because the Lord established a covenant with Isaac, right? Psalms 83 and verse 1. It says, keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. We read about who hate us, right? The enemies in Nehemiah 5 and 9, right? The heathen. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, right? So usually what you're gonna notice throughout history, anytime you see Esau, Ishmael right there with him, pissed off, right? Ishmael was the brother that got rejected by the Lord when it came to Isaac. And Esau was the brother that got rejected by the Lord when it came to Jacob. They got that in common, right? When it comes to their hatred for the Israelites, right? Let's go to the book of Joel now, right? When you read the rest of the Psalms 83, you read about them nasty, stinking, filthy Africans, right? They hate us too, right? So this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 1, right? Gotta get all this. It say, for behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. We living in that time. All praises. It says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So who parted the land? It's got to do with Esau, Amalek, and Ishmael. That's who got the land parted. They fighting over the land like it's theirs and it's neither one of theirs, right? It says, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre, Africans, and Zidon, African, and all the coasts of Palestine? These today is the Palestinians, which are Ishmael. All right, not which in history were the Philistines, which were Hamites, but today in that land, Palestina is Ishmael, right? It says, will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. So they're mad, they've been mad at us. They've been conspiring against us to try to stop the building up of our nation, right? To try to stop the building up of our temple, because they don't want us in our land. Because as long as we ain't in our land, they get to pretend the land is theirs. All right. So let's go back to Genesis 17, and I'm gonna read 21 again. It say, but my covenant will I establish with Isaac, and which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time and the next year. All right, so that was the promise made by the Lord to Abraham. Right, so we were reading Genesis 25. We can see Abraham had a lot of sons. All right. So it's a doctrine that goes around as like, oh, well, Abraham is the father of many nations. All right. So that's why all the nations are included into the promises. They thought this all the way in the New Testament, right? Let me get this in the book of let me get this in John chapter 8. They thought this all the way in the New Testament, that because they were, matter of fact, let me go to Matthew real quick. Matthew chapter 3. Just because they the seed of Abraham don't mean that they're of the promise, right? It's the book of Matthew chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, and think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you that Yahweh is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. Meaning, it don't matter just because you a child of Abraham. Yes, the covenant was made with Abraham, but it was to go to a particular seed, right? Through a particular seed. Let's go to the book of let's go to John now. John 8. They thought this all the way in the New Testament, just because they was the seed of Abraham, that meant something. Not necessarily, right? It's the book of John 8 and verse, let me start at verse 32. It says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, right? Yahweh Shai's people weren't free at this time. They were literally in slavery to the Romans at this time, right? They were spiritually bound by the sins of the society that they lived in, that promoted sins. Rome promoted all kind of sins. Orgies, they wanted you to worship Jupiter, all these false gods, right? So Yahweh Shah say the truth shall make you free, right? It says, verse 33, they answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Right? So every one of Abraham's seed wasn't in bondage, but the Israelites was in constant bondage. This was our sixth captivity at this point. So these people thought, they had a misconception that because they was of Abraham, that meant that they were all of the promises of the Most High. Far from the truth, right? Let's jump down. It says, verse 37, it says, I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word have no place in you. Why does his word have no place in them? Because they weren't of the promise, right? It says, I speak that which I have seen with my father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. See, they still didn't get it. Like a lot of our brothers and sisters don't get it today. It said Abraham is our father. Yahweh Shah said unto them, if you were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. But now ye seek to kill me, a man that have told you the truth, which I have heard of Yahweh. This did not Abraham. So they didn't get it, right? They like, look, if you really were Abraham's seed, if you had the spirit Abraham had, right, then you wouldn't want to kill me. You wouldn't buck up against the truth. That's a clear way to see that somebody is not a child of God. They hate the truth. You share the truth with them and they get offended, right? So don't let that be you. Lord's will, that's not you, right? Lord's will, right? Let's go back to Genesis chapter 25. All right, so we see Abraham, he had a lot of sons, right? Genesis 25 and verse 5 again. It says, and Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. So he blessed them, other sons, but the covenant went to Isaac, right? It says, verse 6, but unto the sons of the concubines, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts. So why does it say he gave all that he had to Abraham if he gave his other sons gifts? Because it's talking about the covenant was passed to Isaac, right? It says, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac, his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 163 years. So he lived to be 175 years old. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. Remember some chapters back, Abraham purchased that field, right? To be basically the grave site for his family. It says the field which Abraham purchased of the son of Heth. There was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac. And Isaac dwelt in the well Laharoi, dwelt by the well Laharoi. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Adbeel, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, and Hadar, and Tema, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedma. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are the names by their towns and by their castles. 12 princes according to their nations, right? So the promise was kept to Ishmael, right? So understand something, a blessing is not the same as salvation. Two different things, two different concepts, right? The Lord had blessed many people that were not his people, all right? Ishmael got blessed, but they aren't the people. Ask them Arabs. They know they Ishmael. They'll tell you that they Ishmael, right? Verse 17, it says, and these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. And they dwelt from Hivlah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria. And he died in the presence of all his brethren. And these are the generations of Isaac. Abraham. So even them Egyptians, they got assimilated with the the Romans and the Greeks, like later on. But the people who ended up living in Egypt, those became Ishmaelites, right? Arabs. All right. Ham got pushed out of there long before Ishmael got up in there, right? So let's keep going. Verse 20. It says, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Pandaram, the sister to Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife. So when Isaac got married, he was 40 years old, right? His wife was probably in her 20s, early 20s, more than likely. That's me speculating. All right. It says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, right? So she couldn't have children. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. All right. So it's of the Lord that you have children or you don't have children. All right. That's completely up to the Most High, not up to us. It says, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. So she said, look, if this is a blessing from God, why are these kids inside me fighting like this? This is crazy. So we was whooping upside their head, even in the womb, we was beating them up, right? We were beating up Esau in the womb. He's gonna say that. This is how I know that. It said, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb. So even though these two babies got the same dad, two different nations of people was gonna come out of this. All right. Two nations are in thy womb. It says, and two manner of people, two different, totally different types of people are in your womb. They brothers, twins, fraternal twins, right? But they completely different types of people. That's what the Lord said. It says, two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people. So that's how I know we was beating them up, because it say we was stronger than them from the beginning. So in the womb, we were beating them up, right? It says, and the elder shall serve the younger. Whoever comes out first is going to serve the youngest one. All right. It says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. All right. So the first child was hairy, and his complexion was red. All right. It called his name Esau. Esau means wasted away. All right. Wasted away. Let's get an example of what that means. Let's go to the book of Numbers. Numbers chapter 12 and verse 9. What does it mean? Waste. Why they call him Esau? Why when they seen him, they said he wasted away, right? Numbers chapter 12 and verse 9. It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against him, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. Now watch what Aaron said. It says, and Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed, when he cometh out of his mother's, when he cometh out of his mother's womb. Why would Aaron say that? Because Aaron understood what the name Esau meant. It means he who is wasted away. He said, look, she look like an Edomite. Don't do her like that, Lord. She look like an Edomite now. She look dead. She look like she ain't even finished cooking. Right? So that's the same thing. Let's go back to Genesis 25. That's the same thing Isaac said when he seen his son Esau. He looked dead. He hairy and he looked wasted away. Esau. And after verse 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 old when she buried him. He was 60 years old when he had his children. Now, I didn't describe Jacob because Jacob was melanated, like every other race of people that was on the earth at the time. The Chinese people, the Ishmaelites, we was all melanated. They was melanin, like I got. Everybody was melanated. The only people to this day, the only people on the face of the planet that don't got melanin is Esau, the Edomites. They're the only ones. The Chinese people got melanin. Japanese, Ishmaelites, Elamites, the East Indians with the little dot, they got melanin. They the only ones that don't got no melanin, right? So they called his name Jacob. He grabbed on Esau's heel. Now, what does that mean? Somebody might not know. Let's go to the book of let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, and verse 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? So Ezra is asking Uriel a question. What's gonna be the end of one time and the start of a new time? Right? The time I'm living in, when is that gonna start in? And when is the new time gonna start? Right? It says, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. That's what that means. This is what we finna read, what the reason and the meaning behind them children being born and Jacob holding on to the heel of Esau. It says, for Esau is the end of the world. Your heel is at the end of your body. That's like the end of your body, right? All this is significant. Even when it comes to the statue and the dream that Daniel had, the dream that Daniel interpreted, right? When the stone struck the foot of that statue, all of that goes together with this, right? It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right? Esau is the end, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other questions Esdras asked thou not. So he like, look, that's what that means. The parting asunder of times, the end of one time and the start of a new time is going to be when the white man is ruling the world. When you see Esau ruling the world, that's the end of the world. Because who was ruling the world first? You had the Hamites. Egypt, the Egyptians was ruling the world, right? Then you had the Assyrians was ruling the world. All right, then you had the Babylonians was ruling the world, which is Hamites. Then you had the Persians and the Medes ruling the world, which is Japheth's seed. All right, then you had the white man come and ruling the world, the Greeks and the Romans. Now you got him still ruling. America is an extension of Rome, the same people. That's why they got a Senate like Rome had. Rome started all that. All right, so they still ruling the world. That means we at the end of the world. That's why you see all this stuff going on right now with the uproars and the rumors of wars and nation rising against nation, because we at the end. All right. So that's what that means when he grabbed the heel of Esau. Right. So let's go back to Genesis 25. So we know why they called his name Esau, because he looked dead. Numbers 12 and 9. All right. And verse 27, it says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. A cunning hunter. He loved to hunt, just like today. That's like, see, the Lord ain't gonna say it's the white man, because nobody's white. Right? Right? Nobody's black. Right? It's leaving you clues to understand who this man is. It said he was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob, a plain man dwelling in tents. So what you need to understand about the Bible is that spirits, the spirits that the Lord created are the spirits that he created, right? Let me let you see something real quick. It's a couple things I'm gonna show you something real quick. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. The spirits that the Lord created are the spirits that the Lord created. All right. There are no new spirits, right? Though the spirits that are here and have been here are the spirits that were made in the beginning. All right. This is the book of Ecclesiastes. Solomon is going to explain it, but he did it in a way that it go over a lot of people's head, right? So this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, one generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. All right? The earth ain't going nowhere. He's dealing with generations of people, though. The sun also arises, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. So the sun is what moves, not the earth, like the white man taught you. The sun moves, right? It says, the wind goeth toward the south and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. So the wind that is blowing today is the same wind that's always been here. It goes in a circuit and it comes back where it started. But he talking about generations, right? Verse 7. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full until the place from whence the rivers come, thither do they return again. So that's the same thing that happened with our spirits, right? They go back where they came from. Let's stay in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, right? And verse 20. It says, all go unto one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth down to the earth? So your spirit go back to the Lord that created it, and then he sends it back again in whatever fashion he desired to send it, right? Not on a reincarnation tip, but on you come back to this earth, right? You don't just die and stay up there. Your spirit come back, just like the wind goes in a circuit, just like the waters run into the river and the river don't get full. That the water that's here is the water that was here when Moses was here. It's the same water, right? Same. I say, hey, Esau, come on. All praises. All right, so let's go back to Genesis 25, right? It says 27. I'm trying to show you something real quick. It say, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. Now, who else was a hunter? Who else was a significant hunter in the Bible, right? Let's go to the book of, let's stay in Genesis. Genesis chapter 11. Matter of fact, I want 10. I want 10. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 9. It says, matter of fact, I'm gonna start at verse 6. It says, and the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, which is who we call the Egyptians. It says, and Phut and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah and Sapta and Rama and Sapteka. And the sons of Rama, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Now, Nimrod hunted men. He hunted men, right? The same way Esau do, but Esau liked to hunt, period. But he got, what I'm trying to get you to see is that Esau had the same spirit as Nimrod. Is what bro I say Cain. He had Cain's spirit as well, right? Them spirits don't go nowhere. They stay. They keep being regenerated, right? They keep being regenerated. So the same way, that's why you gotta look at what let's keep going. In Genesis 10, it says he began to be a mighty hunter before the Lord, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, right? Which means confusion, and Erech and Akkad and Kalna in the land of Shinar. All right, so Nimrod is who established Babylon, right? What does the Bible say about Esau and Babylon, right? They go hand in hand. See, all this whole Bible connects. Let's go to Psalms, right? Let's get this precept. Everybody know, most people know this precept. Psalms chapter 137 and verse number 7. All right, it says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone. So Esau is the daughter of Babylon. The Bible says, as is the mother, is the daughter, right? Let me see real quick. Right? Let's get that in Ezekiel 16 and 44. It says, behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. Right? Thou art thy mother's daughter that loatheth her husband and her children, and thou art the sister of thy sisters, which loatheth her husbands and the children. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father was an Amorite. The point is verse 44. However the mother is, that's how that daughter is going to act. So it say that Esau is the daughter of Babylon. Babylon is confusion, right? What did Babylon want to do? Make all people one, right? Everybody be one people, right? Let's get that in the book of Habakkuk. That's the same way that the white men operate today, because they the daughter of Babylon. So I'm trying to show, Lord's will, that you see that this person, Esau, is synonymous with who we call the white man. He got the characteristics of him, right? Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5, it says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth he at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell. He want to put everybody in captivity, and is as death. Everywhere he go, he take death with him, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. The same way Nimrod did. That's the same way the white man do today, who the Bible calls Esau, right? So it's the same spirit, right? Same spirit. Let's get that in First Maccabees. Matter of fact, let's try to drive it on home, Lord willing. Oh, somebody might be still talking about it's Japhet, right? Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse. Remember, it said he heapeth unto him all people. First Maccabees 1 and 41. Now, this is the Maccabees. This is dealing with the Greek captivity. Let's see how they move. It say, moreover, King Antiochus, which is a Greek, right? it says, wrote unto his kingdom that all should be one people. The same thing Habakkuk said. The same thing Nimrod said in Babylon, because they the daughter of Babylon. That's called democracy, in other words, right? And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed to the commandment of the king. See, they every time they get in power, every time that spirit come to the earth, it want to do the same thing over and over again. Bring all people together, right? It said, yea, many also of the Israelites consented unto his religion. So that's a religion. Democracy is a religion. Anytime you go out and you vote, you participating in democracy, you worship, you are participating in that religion. You worshiping a false god when you do that, right? It says, and sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath, right? So let's go back. So Esau got the spirit of Nimrod, got the spirit of Cain, right? And that spirit is a hunter, like the Bible say, right? They hunt men, right? I gotta get it. Let's go to Lamentation. Let's go to Lamentation. It's Jeremiah said the same thing. Let's go to Lamentations. Lamentation 4 and verse 18. Matter of fact, verse 17. It said, as for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. That's why you don't need to participate in democracy. They can't save you, right? There ain't gonna be another president that's gonna get it. The stimulus checks ain't gonna help. That look, they can't save us, right? Verse 18, it say they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. That's why you see Esau sitting in the cut in the unmarked police car. He hunting your steps, right? They ain't looking for the white people that's out here committing crimes. They ain't looking. Hey, Moab got all kind of weed labs in America where they using illegal pesticides, putting that all on your weed. People bugging the hell out. They ain't hunting them down. They hunting you, Jake. They hunting Eve, right? It say they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. All right, so that's Esau. Always hunting, right? Always hunting. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 22. That's the spirit that they got in them. Isaiah 42 and verse 22. It says, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. Why? Because somebody hunting them. Snared in holes. They are hidden prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. Right? So the only person that can restore us is our God, is these laws, statutes, and commandments, because you got Esau hunting you every day, right? Because he been a hunter. Let's go back to Genesis 25, right? Verse 27. It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Jake want to be at the crib. That's how we is, man. Hey, what you got going on, man? Chilling at the crib. That's us. We plain, man. We ain't trying to go lay in the dirt and have deer ticks on us, and we ain't trying to do all that. Hey, we chilling, right? Give us some young, give us a fine young lady to be our rib or two, right? And we good. We straight. We chilling. Plain people. It says, verse 28, and Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So Isaac loved his son, right? He brought that venison home, which is deer meat, right? I love deer meat too. I don't necessarily want to go hunt for it, but I like to eat it. You know, if worst came to worst, I get out there and do it, but I wouldn't do it for sport. I do it to live and survive, right? It say, so Isaac loved his son because of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Why? Because she had gotten prophecy earlier that the younger that the elder would serve the younger, right? It say, and Jacob sod pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Edom means red, right? Edom means red. It's in my Bible. I got a little number, and it kind of help you out. By Edom, it's got a 3, and it say that is red. All right. So he was a red man. All right. It says, and Jacob said, very important to listen to this verse for the people who say, oh, we stole something. Look, man, we ain't steal nothing. Now, did we finesse them? You can say that. That's what Jacob mean. Supplanter, to finesse, right? We finessed him out of his spot, but he sold it, right? He didn't have the good sense to know that wasn't a good trade, right? Matter of fact, let's get it. Let's go to Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16. That's his bad. That's his bad, right? Hebrew, we ain't steal nothing. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 16. It said, lest there be any fornicator or profane person. He's a profane person. As Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. He sold it. For ye know how that afterward he would have inherited the blessing. He was rejected, for he found no place of repentance. He can never repent. You can't save him. Stop trying to save him. He can't repent, right? It says, though he sought it carefully with tears, the Lord don't care about you crying. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Lord's willing, we'll get to that, right? So he's a profane person, right? To sell his birthright for one morsel of meat. He sold it. We didn't steal it. He sold it, right? Let me see if I want to get the precept in Isaiah. Nah, I ain't gonna pull that right now. Let's go. I'm almost out of time. Let's go to Hebrew. Let's go back to Genesis. Genesis 25 and verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage. All right. For I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink. And he rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. He sold it. And we took it and gave him the soup. And now we got the birthright. Hey, fair. It ain't really fair, but it's what he asked for, right? So we gonna get to chapter 26 next week, Lord willing. All right. And we will see how Esau come and he try to be all crafty. Well, that's in chapter 27. All right. But yeah, Lord's willing, you got something out of it. All praise and all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.